and welcome to Dits on YouTube. A first here for the channel and a first here for me. We are streaming live on YouTube for the very first time. It could be the last time. I don't know. This thing could be full of technical bugs or glitches or anything like that. I have no idea. But as far as I'm aware, I have a screen here. I'm on YouTube. It's something. At least something is coming out. If you're here with me now, before we start getting into review, whilst you're here, just hit that little subscribe button down below, hit the like button, and hit the little bell as well. Notify yourself when more of this kind of stuff happens, because if this goes well, and it's not a complete train wreck, next week I'll be doing watch-alongs, because unfortunately I go back to work next week. So staying up until, well, potentially 4 o'clock in the morning. It's now 20 past 3 in the morning here in the UK. I won't be able to do that. I'm a night owl, but even that is a stretch. Going into work at 8 o'clock in the morning, having gone to bed at 4 in the morning, it is not good. But tonight, it's worth it, because we had the Great American Bash, the NXT version, and despite the fact there was a week's worth of build, and there's a lot of people saying, WWE, just a reaction to Fyter Fest, and the fact that they're over 2 nights and the Great American Bash is over 2 nights, they're just copying. Guys, it's a business. Fyter Fest was, of course, going to attract all of the attention if NXT was just running its standard programming, so they had to do something to counteract them in the ratings. Now, I don't really care, because we're getting 2 solid shows. As far as I'm aware, Fyter Fest was great. I was just keeping up on social media, and the attention that AEW had tonight was more than what NXT got, just from my timeline alone. So it must have been a good show. At the very least, it had more eyes on it. But at the same time, people can go and watch NXT if they want. I watched NXT. I know a lot of people who else watched NXT. We're in that realm of, which one do I watch without getting shat on by other people? I'm not about that, and nobody else should be about that. If you're watching NXT, great, watch NXT. If you want to watch it in AEW, watch AEW. That's great. And then the next day, what you could do, which is fantastic in this day and age, you can watch the other shows. Why should we all be shitting on each other? It is pointless. But we've had 2 great nights of wrestling, and yes, WWE, yes, they've copied kind of the 2-night thing as counter programming, all that kind of stuff. But again, it doesn't matter. We're the real winners. And tonight was a good show. Tonight was a good show. So as far as I'm concerned, I win. You win. We all win as wrestling fans. We, of course, had New Japan Cup earlier on in the day as well, which I enjoyed. I thought it was really good. And then we had the Great American Bash, and we had Fyter Fest. It's a good time to be a wrestling fan at the moment, coming out the back of all the crap that we've faced as wrestling fans. We've had the speaking out stuff. Before that, even outside of wrestling, Black Lives Matter. COVID is still raging, but I think we're slowly coming out of it now. And I've seen a lot of people losing faith with content creating. A lot of wrestling podcasts are dropping. People are taking breaks. It's happening. But as far... for me, I wanted to take a little bit of a break, but I refrained from doing it purely because of New Japan. And I've just rediscovered my passion for wrestling, which had died a little bit with all this speaking out stuff. And you would scroll through your timeline and you would find a story, another story, another story, another story. And you were like, at what point is it going to start hitting the people that are my favorite wrestlers? At what point is it going to start hitting like the big dogs of wrestling? And it had that potential. Like, it's still happening. There are still odd stories coming out here and there, and I don't think it's going to end anytime soon. So who knows what the next couple of weeks are going to bring on the speaking out front, and who gets targeted rightfully or wrongfully, whatever it is, we'll see. But less of that, because you are here for the Great American Bash. I've stayed up for the Great American Bash and to deliver this. So let's talk about the Great American Bash. And first of all, I just want to talk about that set. Again, NXT have had a week to prepare for this. From our eyes, maybe behind the scenes, they've been planning this a while, and then they just brought it forward to counteract Fyter Fest. I've got a love-hate relationship. It's like, I guess it's not love-hate relationship with AEW. It's just I can't be bothered to watch it kind of relationship. But I don't know how long Fyter Fest has been in the mix. Probably quite a while. Maybe that was last minute, a couple of weeks ago. I don't know. I honestly don't know the build or whatever's happened over there. But maybe WWE, behind the scenes, were planning a Great American Bash for a while. Because In Your House was really good. As far as the aesthetics go from it. I reviewed it on my Dits on Wrestling podcast with my co-host Anthony, and we both had mixed emotions about it. I gave it a 5 out of 10, maybe 6 out of 10 at tops, and Anthony gave it a 4. So we were very mixed about it, but we loved the retro feel. We loved that NXT was embracing these old events from days gone by, and they've done it again with the Great American Bash. And the flip on this one is they didn't have as much time to prepare for it. So the fact that we had a set of any uniqueness attached to it was great. We had the Dodge Viper and the other car. I don't know what that other car was. It looked like the red car that Ross from Friends bought and then couldn't get it out of the parking space. That's the description I'm going to go with that. We had some balloons. We had some great balloons. That was nice. And then some red, white, and blue lighting, which I thought was actually going to be all we got. I thought that was just going to be the basics of the Full Sail. It was just going to be red, white, and blue lighting, and that's all we were getting. But no, we got a decently unique stage, which is good. I like unique stages because we don't really get that these days, especially in WWE. It's a shame. It really is a shame, but it is what it is. But the set was great. Set the tone for the evening. It really did. And we kicked things off with what I actually... there was 2 matches I was really looking forward to tonight. Obviously, Io Shirai, Sasha Banks. But it was also the other women's match on the card. The Fatal 4-Way Elimination match. Determined the number 1 contender to face Io Shirai. Dakota Kai, Mia Yim, Tegan Nox, and Candice LeRae. You put 4 of them 4 in the ring together. You've got potential for something pretty damn good to happen there. And it wasn't disappointing. It really wasn't disappointing. Everyone got to showcase their stuff, with the exception of one person. But as an opener to this thing, I mean, what is this thing, by the way? It's not a takeover, obviously, because the takeover tag isn't there. But is it a special? Is it just a standard NXT episode with a bit of Great American Bash paint flipped on it? I don't really know. It felt special, though. Whatever it was, it felt special. So it was good to kick it off with something great, and that's what we needed. We needed the show to kick off with something great, and I personally did think it was. But for Candice LeRae, not so much. She didn't have a great time, and it was a shame because I really like Candice LeRae. I prefer her as a babyface, but she's obviously gone the heel route alongside Johnny. Is it working? I think it's too early to tell. We don't know at this point. I think we've had 2 months to kind of settle in with it, but I think it's going to get there eventually. I don't know how many times she's played heel in her career, or if she ever has. So maybe she's trying to settle into it. I mean, look at Bayley. You know, she was as babyface as you can get. And it's taken her to maybe a month, 2 months ago to finally settle into being a heel after turning October, September last year. That's a long time. But it's been worth it. But more on that later. But it was a shame that Candice didn't get more of an opportunity to shine in this thing. And the moment that she went, the moment she was eliminated, granted, everyone was teaming against her and all that kind of stuff. But the fact that she was eliminated so quickly and didn't really have that much offense, as far as I remember, my memory's terrible, this was 2 hours ago. As far as I remember, she didn't mount that much offense. And I was actually genuinely surprised that not only was she the first to go, but it was just kind of, oh, that just happened. Like it was. I mean, I think Candice deserved maybe a little bit more than that, but I guess as a heel, you can get away with it. That kind of logic exists, unfortunately. But then she was eliminated, and that left Mia, Tegan, and Dakota Kai. They kept teasing that maybe they were going to have Mia and Tegan face, but then they decided to team up together and start battling Dakota Kai. Ultimately, it was going somewhere. And you had two rivalries in this match. You had Candice and Mia, and you had Tegan and Dakota. So as soon as Candice was gone, I was like, we're going to have a Tegan-Dakota face-off to determine the number one contender once Mia Yim's eliminated, or whatever point that may be. And I'm not the biggest Mia Yim fan. I openly admit it. I just don't get the hype. I think there is a little bit of hype to her. Maybe not, astronomical hype, but there is hype there. I'm just not on board with it. But that being said, she did impress me tonight. It was offense. Like, she looked fantastic in this thing. She really did. But ultimately, she got eliminated in the end as well. And we were treated to what was a match within a match at this point. We had Dakota Kai versus Tegan Nox. Two people that know each other very, very well. Dakota betrayed Tegan Nox at War Games last year. And since then, they've been handcuffed to each other in a rivalry, which I honestly don't care if it's been overplayed, overused, whatever. Like, I don't care, because these guys, whenever they're together, like, they have great matches. They have great moments together. It's the same kind of relationship that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn enjoy, or at least did enjoy. You throw them together, they're going to do something good, and they have that relationship and that chemistry together, which more or less guarantees it. And that's also what Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai have. So we had this little match within a match, and there was some great little spots. There was the Dakota Kai, I forget the name, chiropractor. It's like a flipping backstabber kind of thing. I love that move. I don't actually know if that's her finisher or if it's the haluva kick that she does, but that chiropractor should be a finisher because it looks brutal. Like, that would break my back. Like, have that as the finish. But I got a 2 count, and then there was other stuff that went down as well. And then all of a sudden, Tegan Nox just mounted this quick combo, the Molly go round, which I think Josh, I think you're still here, you're in the chat, so Molly, you probably popped massively for the Molly go round. She hit that and then hit the Shining Wizard for the win. And I said this on the old Twitter machine. I don't pop audibly in wrestling. I just don't do it. But I genuinely just was like, shocked. I was excited that Tegan managed to actually win this thing. I wasn't expecting it, because Io Shirai, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as I'm aware at the moment, she is playing the babyface role. So it's just the natural course of things. You have a babyface versus a heel. So if Io Shirai is playing the babyface, then Dakota Kai would be the logical person to go with. Didn't end up being that way. It surprised me, which is good. Surprises in wrestling are very good. And note, I am drinking an energy drink because I am a tired little bunny. Oh, so good. But yeah, genuine surprise for Tegan to pick up the win. And you know for a fact that Tegan versus Io Shirai is going to be amazing. Because Tegan Nox, she's had a lot of trouble with injuries over the last couple of years. She's been so unlucky when it comes to these injuries. They come at the worst time. But now she's enjoying this injury-free run, which has led her to a NXT Women's Championship opportunity against Io Shirai, no less. So not only does she have that opportunity, she's going to have a great match on top of it. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't know when it's going to go down. I don't know what NXT takeovers are coming up or whatever. I just know that whatever happens, whenever it goes down, it's going to be a treat for all of us as wrestling fans. And that's all that I care about, as long as we have a treat. But it was a great match to kick off the show. And already in my head, I was thinking this has potential to be better than TakeOver in your house. Even if this isn't TakeOver, whatever. This has potential to be better than that show. And then we went into the next match. There wasn't really any messing around. We went from match to match here. It was Timothy Thatcher versus Oney Lorcan. And I actually didn't know if there was any build or anything towards this. I have literally just caught up on all things NXT this morning. And I saw the match card for tonight. And I was like, I don't know why this is a thing. I haven't seen any interaction between the two. But then it turns out that Oney Lorcan has been doing his fantastic social media game, playing it up, and eventually got a match with Timothy at the Bash, pestering Regal because of all these videos, training videos that we've seen of Thatcher training people, basically just torturing them. Which I love, but I don't love torture, but I love those videos with Thatcher doing it. It really sells his gimmick, his character, all that kind of stuff, and the intensity, the brutality of him. He's just a sinister little wanker, isn't he? And he looks the part. He really looks the part. And having Timothy Thatcher, who does all that stuff. Bear in mind, that fight pit match he had with Matt Riddle was chef's kiss, amazing. You had that. And now you got him against Oney Lorcan. Two very similar styles. So I was very interested to see how this one was going to go. But you knew for a fact it was going to be hard-hitting. It was going to be technical. It was going to be very mat-based. And it was. And I love that kind of stuff. It reminded me of the Daniel Bryan match against Drew Gulak a couple of months back at a pay-per-view. Don't remember which one it was. But it was one just before Drew started having his little association with Daniel Bryan as a face. And they had a very technical match. It was very mat-based. And this was kind of like that, but more brutal. Like the chops that Oney was laying on Thatcher, the holes that Thatcher was getting Oney in. It was a beautifully rough viewing experience. I think that is the best way to describe that match. And honestly, there was only really one person that I expected to win this, and it was Timothy Thatcher. You know, you've had all these videos building him up, just him being an absolute wanker to these trainees, and Oney Lorcan, who's just kind of, I mean, I love Oney Lorcan. Don't get me wrong, I think he's great, but when you look at the two of them, you got Oney Lorcan, who just kind of put this match together on social media, and you got Timothy Thatcher, a regular presence on NXT TV. So who's going to win the match? That's pretty much all I was basing it on. And there seems to be a little bit of an upwards push for Timothy Thatcher. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Since when he first came in, I was a bit cold with Timothy Thatcher. Didn't really, I mean, he was just kind of last minute replacement because Pete Dunne couldn't get out. But as time has gone on, and the fight pit, I've learned to get on the Timothy Thatcher train. So it was another great match. Two great matches to kick this show off. So already in my head, I'm thinking this is better than in your TakeOver in your house. There were some good matches at In Your House, the TakeOver, but I don't know. Like, I just seem to prefer this. But then a match came along, and it reminded me that yes, the Great American Bash is airing on a Wednesday, and therefore this is kind of like just NXT TV. We had Rhea Ripley versus Robert Stone and Aliyah in a handicap match. Why is this a thing? Rhea Ripley was one of the hottest stars at the back end of 2019, beginning of 2020. Easily. One of the hottest stars in NXT. One of the hottest stars in WWE. What she did at Survivor Series, the whole invasion thing around that time, to winning the NXT Women's title, the whole build towards the WrestleMania match with Charlotte. She was looking strong. She was looking great. And then all of a sudden, just as quick as you can click your fingers, boom, fall from grace. I don't know why. I don't know why the wheels have come off. Is it booking? Is it her? Is it because of COVID and she couldn't do stuff? I don't know. But whatever has happened, it is an absolute shame that Rhea has fallen so far. I guess I am putting Robert Stone and Aliyah down because I just don't get it. But that's a fall. You know, she's gone from opening a WrestleMania as the NXT Women's Champion to then competing in the triple threat match in your house, which was good, but taking the fall and getting a knee to the face at the same time with that moonsault. To that, so she's had that, and then just slowly, I say slowly, it's actually been pretty damn rapid. It's gone poof. Hello, Robert. Join me. Join my management company. Join this crap. No. As if this is a short little thing, which I now it was a definitive finish, so I hope to never see this ever again. But why Rhea Ripley is in this situation and not in that fatal 4-way to start the show? I don't know. I don't know where Rhea goes from here. I really don't. You know, like there is no. From looking at it, you've got Candice and Mia who are doing their thing. You've got Tegan now going to Shirai, so I guess you could have Rhea and Dakota do something. She's sure as hell isn't going to carry on with Aliyah. Surely. I don't know. Maybe if she does go the Dakota Kai route, she'll have her lackey to deal with as well. You can have some good moments with that, I guess. But Rhea Ripley should be higher up the card. She really should. She shouldn't be doing this stupid handicap match. Robert Stone. I mean, I don't mind comedy and wrestling. I'm the guy who enjoyed the ninja stuff from Backlash. As ridiculous as it was, I was the guy who loved that. Because it wasn't a match. If it was a match, completely different. But the fact that it wasn't a match, it was just a skit. I enjoyed it. But I just didn't get Robert Stone. He threw up in the ring 2 weeks ago, whenever it was. He's been thrown in the dumpster twice. I just don't get it. You know, this was an opportunity. This was actually a good opportunity to kind of give this whole management company a bit of relevance. Just give it a bit of a boost, because that whole thing has essentially died. There wasn't any dissension between Aliyah and Robert Stone after the match, but it's going to be brought up at some point, and I think it could spell the end of the whole storyline, the whole thing behind it. Where does it go from here? Does he go off and be the drunk again, and he's staggering around trying to find clients and stuff? Chelsea Green's already got rid of him. Aliyah's probably going to get rid of him. Rhea doesn't want anything to do with him. Who does he go to? I'll be interested to see where this goes, but I was initially on board with the Robert Stone brand, management, whatever, but nah. You get 2 thumbs down from Dits on that one, I'm afraid. And going from there, we then went to a strap match. First ever in NXT, don't you know? It's not like they hammered that point home. Between Roderick Strong and Dexter Loomis. Now, I've actually really been enjoying the storyline between these two. It's been fun. It's been different. Dexter Loomis is a character who I haven't seen in wrestling before. There's been people that have come really close to it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you could kind of put Bray Wyatt's personality in there a little bit. But this whole just intensity and just mystique and just strangeness, this stare that he does, just the entrance, that little crawl thing that he does, it's bizarre, it's weird, it's interesting, it's intriguing. when I'm watching him, I'm doing the stare at him. I can't keep my eyes off him. Like, he's mesmerizing. The whole character, like, he's just ticking all the boxes. He really is ticking all the boxes, you know. And I would actually put money on him at some point being up in the main event picture. I really would. He could potentially get there. And the fact that he's been mingling with guys who have been in and out of that picture over the last year or two. You know, it was only a couple of weeks ago that he faced off with Adam Cole. I'm putting a good showing, might I add. You know, and he was part of the backlot brawl with Adam Cole and Velveteen Dream. He was part of that match, you know, so he's around and he's getting eyes on him in these big moments. So I think the future's bright for Dexter Loomis. But the storyline itself, you know, Roddy Strong trying to overcome his fear of Loomis and the stare and the trunk. It's been enjoyable. You know, I think it peaked with Kyle O'Reilly as the Doc. I think it peaked with that, but it's been enjoyable nonetheless. And this strap match, I don't know, the match itself. I mean, I'm not one for strap matches. I'm not. They don't really do anything for me. If somebody say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have a strap match," shrug, meh, whatever. Not interested really. But in terms of story, this had like a storyline reason why there was a strap match. So Roddy Strong couldn't hightail it like he did last week. He couldn't run away. They were strapped together. There was no, like, you could go so far, but you weren't running away. That was the whole point. You had it as a storyline mechanic. Good stuff. That's why I liked it. But it was slow. It took a while to get things going, you know, and bearing in mind that Loomis held Roddy Strong and Bobby Fish in the trunk of a car for 12 hours. Like, if I was Roddy Strong, I'd be pretty pissed off. Despite the fact that I'm a little bit scared of Dexter Loomis, I would still be pissed at him. Like, I would be getting that thing. I would be whipping. I'd be choking him. I'd be doing all that stuff with that strap. We didn't get any of that for at least halfway through the match. And I remember thinking, are they going to use this strap at all? I know every now and then Loomis kind of pulled Roddy and he went flying and all this, but there was no whips, there was no chokes with it, there was nothing inventive going on with the strap. They just ended up having a standard match, but they just happened to have a strap attached to their wrists. Not that that's a bad thing. It was okay. It just was slow. But then they left the ring and things started to speed up a little bit. They went up the ramp. Loomis opened the trunk. Roddy started fighting back. And that's when the match got good. They started using the strap as a whip, as part of submission moves. All that kind of stuff. The stuff you want that strap to be used for. You don't want that strap just to be a bystander in this thing. Like, it's a strap match. The whole focus on this match is the fact that these guys have a strap and they can use this thing against each other. That's the whole thing. And it took them so long to get to that point. I thankfully, because I'm invested in the story, it didn't take me completely out of it. And when they did start whipping each other and all that kind of stuff, I was like, boom, happy days. We're here. I'm locked in. But it's a strap match. It's still a strap match. No matter, it doesn't know how many ways you paint this thing. It's still a strap match. I don't think you're going to get a 5-star strap match anywhere. But it got better when they started actually using the bloody strap. Then Bobby Fish got involved. Shocking. Who expected that to happen? It's the Undisputed Era. Nobody ever interferes in those matches. And then immediately the strap was used against poor old Bobby Fish. Loomis dodged out the way and boom. Bobby Fish was out. Out he goes. Locks in his submission. Using the strap. Roddy Strong taps. Interesting finish. It was an interesting finish. I had Roddy Strong down to win this thing. But then I guess I shouldn't be annoyed. I'm not annoyed. I'm not annoyed that Dexter Loomis won. I think he could benefit more from the win. He's still fresh in NXT. He's still fresh in NXT. He's not, he's not established in NXT. It feels like he's been around for a long time, but he's not established in NXT just yet. So the win does him a world of good. And Roddy Strong, as a heel, a smarmy heel, like a high school bully heel, can afford to take losses. So from that side of things, from that point of view, I'm happy with the way the match ended. You know, you could have had it be a case of Roddy Strong overcomes his fear of Dexter Loomis, and then maybe he puts him in the trunk of the Dodge Viper, if Loomis would even fit in that damn thing, and then drives off. That's kind of where I thought it was going to go. It didn't, but that's not a bad thing. You know, that was just something that maybe happened in an alternative universe somewhere else, on a different time, a parallel timeline somewhere else. This finish was okay, and I'm happy. Whether this continues, I don't know. Maybe Bobby Fish is the next in line to face Dexter Loomis. Don't know. Maybe Kyle O'Reilly's going to make a in-ring return. I don't know what is going on with him, by the way. Like I said earlier, I've literally just checked into NXT this morning. Literally binged on 3 weeks, skipped through a lot of it, and I didn't see a whole lot of Kyle O'Reilly, apart from when he was playing the Doctor. Guys, well, you don't see, you have to do... Like, that was, again, peak Kyle O'Reilly, lovely stuff. But I haven't seen him in ring outside of that, so I don't know what's going on with him. Don't know what's going on outside. I don't think he was in that backlot brawl either. I think it's always been Fish and Roddy Strong. So where this goes, who knows? Who knows where it's going to go? But it's the Undisputed Era. I love the Undisputed Era. They're one of my favorite factions ever. So I'm happy with whatever they end up doing. And Dexter Loomis is intriguing as hell. The mystique, everything around it, everything I said earlier. There's just every description word I could throw at Dexter Loomis, which is positive. I don't really have a negative for him. I'm really looking forward to where he goes next, because he can use this as a jump. And I hope they do. I hope they do something with him following this. And then after this, we had a couple of backstage things that went down. Cameron Grimes was doing his stuff. You know what? I actually like Cameron Grimes. I'm not against him. You know, I'm just trying to figure out is he like a steampunk cowboy kind of thing, or what are you? What are you, Mr. Grimes? But in ring, I like him in ring, and I like his. I do like his character. You know, I do like his character as bizarre and weird, and it doesn't really mesh with anything. He's just loud and obnoxious and just a dick, and I like it. But at the same time, I don't know what you are, Cameron. I don't know what you are. Just do something that makes me, that's what you are. He is a steampunk cowboy, not just somebody that's going, I wear a hat, this shit. I don't know what you are, mate. Don't know what you are. And I actually don't know what that promo was tonight either. Literally, I was sat. I think I must have been tweeting or something at the time, or putting something together. But all I heard was, number one contender, keep lead, NXT championship. I was like, whoa, okay, right. That was a promo, and away he went. That's all I remember. And then we went into a backstage segment with Candice and Johnny Gargano to try to get an interview together. Then Candice bolted it towards Mia Yim, and that has now set up the street fight for next week, which is going to be really good. I'm really looking forward to that. Their story continues. They've been mixing it up a lot in the last couple of weeks. They've had the mixed tags with Johnny and Keith Lee thrown in the mix. And it's set to continue in the street fight, which you'd imagine with a gimmick match being attached to it, that's going to be it. You'd like to think, but this is WWE. We don't know how things are going to go, but it's going to be a good match. And that's next week. That's next week. That's the women's match to look forward to next week. But we had a women's match to look forward to tonight. Labeled a dream match by so many people. And that's an interesting term to use these days. Like, dream matches to me were stuff like Daniel Bryan versus Bret Hart, or Stone Cold Steve Austin versus I don't know, somebody who's good now. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Becky Lynch. I don't know, like Undertaker versus Sting, stuff like that. And The Rock versus Hogan, which is, I know it's already been done, but that was a dream match back then. That's a dream match. Io Shirai and Sasha Banks, although it is a match that I very, very much I've always wanted to see, and I was very excited the moment we had that announcement that it was going ahead. Dream match? I'll put it this way. I don't trust a company that labels a match a dream match when earlier this year, Goldberg versus Braun Strowman was labeled as a dream match. In fact, actually, I don't think it was Strowman at the time. I think it was when Reigns was actually in the match still. Goldberg versus Roman Reigns was down as a dream match. That was the description that WWE themselves gave us. Goldberg and Roman Reigns. I love Roman Reigns. I'm on that train. Don't care. At me. But Goldberg in a dream match. Is that a thing? Is that a thing? I don't think it is. You tell me. Is that a thing? Shout out in the comments. Goldberg, is there a dream match that involves the old Berg? I don't know. So that makes me skeptical when they put these tags on other matches. And Io Shirai and Sasha Banks, as great as it could potentially be, and as highly anticipated as it is, and how much I'm looking forward to it, for me, not a dream match, but it's not far off. It's not far off. Maybe if they were maybe if Io Shirai was a couple of years in, and Sasha Banks just carries on doing what she's doing, maybe at some point it would be a dream match, but not now. But that's by the by. It's by the by. We still had this match, so we should all be lucky. That being said, I think I may have hyped it up a little bit too much in my head. All week since the announcement, I've been chomping at the bit to watch this match go down, and I don't know, I feel like I've come away a little bit disappointed. And that's not to say it was a bad match, because it wasn't a bad match. It just wasn't the spectacle that I thought it was going to be. It wasn't the absolute clinic that I was expecting. In my head, I was like, this is match of the year. This is going to be match of the year. This is a dream match. It's going to be match of the year. That's what they've called it, a dream match. It's going to be match of the year. Their social media accounts have been hyping it. Everyone else's social media is hyping. Me today, hyping. It's all been hype. Didn't live up to it. But again, that's not to say it was a bad match, because it wasn't. It was good. But there was a lot of miscommunication every now and then. There was a poorly done German suplex spot. I think at one point, Io was supposed to be able to pin Sasha, but she didn't lift the legs for Io to grab. She fought on the spot, though, and did the double stomp onto Sasha's gut. There was just a few things, though, that just didn't click. And it was a shame. It was a shame. And then we started building towards that finish. And then Bayley started to get involved, which we expected that to happen. Bayley's at ringside. She's a heel. We've seen how they've been on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT in the last couple of weeks. Of course, Bayley is going to interfere. But then that led to more interference. This time from Asuka. But the Asuka, again, look, I'm not saying I mind the interference. I just think when you've got a match like this, it's going to go one of two ways. You're going to have that match of the year that I think we all expected it was going to be, or you have the TV match. And I think this resembled more of a main event TV match, which I guess technically that's exactly what it was. So why am I complaining? But Bayley interfered as expected. And I thought at that point the referee was going to do is, get out of there. That's what I was expecting. Bayley fecks off up the ramp, away she goes. And then we have this amazing match, because I watched NXT on BT Sport here in the UK, and it actually wasn't down to finish until 3:15. And the final bell rang at 1 minute past 3. So I was a bit like, I feel shortchanged here because I was expecting an extra 15 minutes. Like, I ran upstairs like during a commercial before the match started. I was like hurriedly like changing the stream to like 3:30. I was like, shit, didn't realize it was going on an extra 15 minutes, and then came running back down to watch the match. But no, it finished at like 3:05. So that 10 minutes allotted on BT Sport, I don't know what it was like out in the States or Australia or, you know, Canada, wherever you are, whatever TV channel you were using or streaming service, whatever. I don't know what timings they had on there, but we definitely had 15 minutes past the 2-hour mark. So I was expecting more. And Bayley wasn't ejected from ringside. And Asuka came out, which fits the story, bigger picture. You know, you have obviously Sasha and Asuka going up against each other at Extreme Rules. You also have that friendship between Io and Asuka as well, so you have that dynamic. So it makes it's not like it's completely random. It all makes sense. So again, I can't really complain. But still, I expected a match of the year. I prayed for match of the year. It just wasn't what I wanted it to be. But it is what it is. We had the Green Mist. I'm a sucker for some Green Mist. I am a sucker for some Green Mist. Shout out to my other podcast, Dits versus Josh, and we're going back and looking at old SmackDowns and Raws from the Ruthless Aggression era. I do SmackDown, so I have the joy of watching Tajiri. I've loved seeing the Green Mist, and I love the fact that Asuka's brought it back. So seeing the Green Mist is always a thumbs up from me. I love the Green Mist, but I wanted Io Shirai to definitively win this thing. You know? I know you're not always going to get what you want, and you kind of have to have Sasha looking strong going into Extreme Rules. I just disappointed. I think that's what it all boils down to. I am disappointed in the match, but it was good. It was disappointing, but it was good. Disappointing, but good. So I can't complain. And I'm going to throw a special mention out there to Io Shirai's moonsault. Like, take the Rhea Ripley near-death experience in your house away. Like, she's got the best moonsault in the game. It is tremendous. Amazing. Like, you look at Charlotte's moonsault, and it's not really a moonsault. She kind of flips and then lands on her feet, but then because she's so tall and lanky, she can kind of bend over, make it seem like it's just not fluid, it's not smooth. You look at Io Shirai's moonsault, it is fluid, it is smooth, it looks perfect. I know the second chef's kiss of the stream, amazing. And that'll finish the match as well, which I liked. And it was on her back. She delivered it to the back and not the traditional front. So that was a little bit different, I guess, and picked up the win. And you had Asuka and Io Shirai standing tall at the end of the match and at the end of the show. As it's a good way to close out the show. I mean, nobody expected Io to lose, I wouldn't have thought. Maybe with the Bayley side of things being in effect, maybe a DQ finish, maybe a count out, something dodgy. We didn't get any of that. So, I mean, we did get something dodgy. We had Asuka spitting Green Mist, for Christ's sake, but not in the terms of, you know, a DQ finish or anything like that. We had a clean finish. So I guess we should be happy, but I'm still disappointed. I'm gonna talk about this for days. How disappointed I am in the match, and it's annoying. It really is annoying. This is why I don't hype things up. I need to stop hyping things up because reality doesn't meet those expectations a lot of the time. But as a whole, the Great American Bash NXT version, night one, was pretty damn good. The Robert Stone stuff, you can take that Robert Stone stuff as like in a box and just fuck it. Just get rid of it. I don't want to see that. Go. I'm all for comedy segments as well. Like I said, I love the ninjas from Backlash. Sue me. Love it. But the Robert Stone stuff, just go. Get away. At the very least, just keep it away from Rhea Ripley. Just get rid of it. Take that match away, which I get. I'm not a completely negative person when it comes to wrestling. I like to think that I'm actually quite positive when it comes to wrestling. So I can see why it existed. It broke up the show, I guess. It made Rhea look good, I guess. But get it away. Move it along. Nobody wants to see it. We had a great opener. We had a hard-hitting, technical, mat-based classic. It wasn't really a classic, but it was great. It was a great match between Timothy Thatcher and only Lorcan. We had that one that was third. We had a decent strap match. It was a good strap match, in fact. And then we had a good main event. Disappointing, but good main event. So for me, it was a good show. And I actually think it exceeded In Your House for me, because I just didn't enjoy In Your House. For whatever reason, it might have just been because of where my head was at the time with everything going on. Or it just might have been the fact that I didn't really enjoy the show. I don't know. But I preferred the Great American Bash, night one, to In Your House. I'm curious to see how night two goes. We've got a couple of matches that have been announced. Oh, I forgot that El Fantasma or Pablo Escobar or whatever his name is now, that he cut a promo. I actually really dig that, by the way. I'm loving the whole gimmick of, rising above, just being perceived as this luchador who does flips and stuff and wears masks and all that kind of stuff. That I like the symbolism of the whole thing and the story, and I think Escobar is fantastic. I love the fact that Raul Mendoza now has something to do, and Joaquin Wild, or I think that's his name, Joaquin Wild, he has something to do now. I think the collective that they have, the Legend of Phantasma, I think is what they've coined themselves. I love it. I think it's fantastic. So to see that going forward is going to be great. But we had a match set up for next week. Of course, Drake Maverick had to come out. They really are selling this gutsy babyface role that he's found himself in, which is no surprise. That's what he's excelling at. He has done since the whole release thing. I mean, that video that he released when he got released was heartbreaking. But it kind of makes you wonder now, doesn't it? Like, I'm not saying it wasn't genuine and it wasn't real, because obviously it was. But it does make you wonder a little bit, doesn't it? Whether it was a work. It wasn't, though. Even he's a Oscar-winning actor. He channeled his inner Daniel Day-Lewis and delivered that thing. Or it was just genuine. I saw the emotion and felt the emotion. It was fucking heartbreaking. It really was. So I'm not by any means saying it was all played. But obviously that turned into a storyline. Him, fighting for his career, and ultimately came up short in the final of the Cruiserweight tournament. But then Triple H gave him the contract. Feel good finish. Lovely stuff. A lot of controversial stuff. Bearing in mind, you're basing a storyline around somebody who was released but has been brought back, but then so many other people got released. Let's not talk about that day. That was horrendous. 2020, Jesus Christ, what a shit year. It was so bad. He had all that stuff, so of course, yeah, he is a gutsy babyface. So naturally, the fact that he got dumped on his head last week on concrete through a table, don't let that stop Drake Maverick. Of course he's going to come back out and do exactly what he did prior to getting his head dumped on concrete. Of course he's going to go and do that. Runs down to the ring and finds himself in a similar situation where he's beat down. He's defenseless, helpless. But then a random team... I was expecting Jake Atlas to come out. Didn't. We had Breezango. I love Breezango. I think they're great. I think they're one of the best tag teams in WWE. Boom. Said it. Love them. So funny. Their stuff with Emporium... so good. They're entertaining, but they can do it. They can go between the ropes. They really can. So it was actually a surprise to see them come out and make the save, but it was also welcoming that they came out and made the save. And that set up next week's 6-man tag, Breezango, Drake Maverick versus the Legend of Phantasma, or whatever they're going by. I think it's a Spanish version of what I just said. Spanish translation. I don't know. Maybe. I'm not Spanish. I can't speak any foreign language. It's really embarrassing, actually. Yeah, I'm a dum-dum when it comes to those foreign languages. We have that six-man tag. We have that six-man tag next week. We have the street fight between Mia Yim and Candice LeRae. And we have, of course, we have Adam Cole versus Keith Lee, champ versus champ, winner take all. It's going to be a good week next week. I'm looking forward to it. I won't be doing a live review next week because I am back to work. And basing it off how this has gone, it's 4:10 in the morning now. I'd get like 2 or 3 hours sleep, which is ridiculous. So I'm going to probably do a live watch along next week. So when it does finish at 3, I get that extra hour. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. Like I said, right at the very start of this thing, I'm technically just absent of everything to do with this stream. The fact that I have this stream and it's still going on now and I've had no hiccups has blown my mind. The fact that it's worked, it's great. But I don't know how many views this thing's got or whatever. So I don't know how well it's been. I don't know how well it's been received. So we'll see. Like this, I've only just noticed that I've had a chat from Brent. Does Karrion Kross interfere in the Cole Lee match? Your thoughts on that? Ooh, that's a good point, actually. And it would, I guess, from a logical standpoint, it would make sense that Kross would interfere. At least Scarlett would interfere, but I don't think he will. I honestly think that, I hate to say it because you don't want to see it. I don't think we're going to see a double champ next week. I think there's going to be something screwy, and both are going to leave with their own belts. I don't want that to happen. I would love either Keith Lee or I don't care who it is, because whoever becomes double champ is a winner in my eyes. I love Keith Lee and I love Adam Cole, so whatever, doesn't bother me. But I just don't see it happening. And the fact that, you've brought that up, Karrion Kross. It seems weird calling him Karrion Kross. I keep thinking Killer Kross, but Karrion Kross. The fact that whole thing is looming, you had the hourglass thing, Keith Lee shattered the hourglass, and now he's kind of involved in that whole thing. There's got to be some involvement, even slight, even if it's just something that comes up on the stage, even if it's just Scarlett just standing up there and spokes bellowing out or something to cause a distraction that leads to something else. I just don't see somebody walking away with 2 belts next week. It would be amazing if it happens. It really would. Like, whoever that happened, like, Adam Cole has already secured his NXT legacy as far as longest reigning NXT champion in history. Keith Lee is the North American champion. I don't know if he's the longest reigning North American champion we've had, but he's probably on course to do it if he wins next week. But look at the run he's had. Survivor Series last year, amazing. The Rumble this year, amazing. He's on the hell of a run. Both guys are already made. So whoever, if one of those guys gets that, the luxury of having those 2 belts, happy days. But I'll be interested to see where that goes. What if it was a winner take all fatal 4-way? Cole Lee Kross champ. Oh, throwing Ciampa in the mix. We haven't heard from Ciampa since he walked away and didn't say anything from In Your House. As far as I'm aware, again, like I said, I skipped through all the NXT, so maybe we've seen Ciampa. But the last time I saw Ciampa was when he was leaving In Your House, got in his car, didn't say a word. Ooh. That's interesting. I don't think they'll go with that, but that adds an extra little dynamic there. But it could go a lot of ways. Just the one way I don't think it's going to go is is somebody walking away with 2 belts. I just don't think it's going to happen. If it happens, I'll be pleasantly surprised and I will be happy. I just don't think that is what's going to go down. But either way, it's going to be amazing next week. I am sure. Like, night 1 was great. Night 2, I hope, is good because I'm going to be sat here with this mic live doing a watch along. So if you've been here, I know there's a couple of people watching now. Come back next week because it'll be earlier for a start, which is good for me. But we can all watch NXT together. It'll be all good. Like, oh, screw those AEW guys over there watching Fyter Fest. Nah, much love to those guys. I'll be watching Fyter Fest Night 1 tomorrow morning to see how that's gone. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. But come next week and witness the watch along of NXT. It's going to be good fun. But I guess that's the review. I can't really say much more. Otherwise, this is going to become a prediction show for next week. And it's 4:15 in the morning. I've already kept you here for an hour. I don't want to keep you here any longer. Let's start wrapping things up, shall we? So next week, I will be back with the watch-along, a live watch-along. This seems to have happened without a hiccup, which is good. I've done a million test streams, so I hope that would be the case, and it has been. So next week I will be back with a watch along, alongside obviously night 2 of the NXT Great American Bash, and let's see if we do get a double champ next week. But make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see when all my stuff drops, because all my podcast episodes drop on this channel, as well as gaming stuff and a smattering of other wrestling videos that I've got in the pipeline. It all ends up on Dits on YouTube, so make sure you subscribe, like this video, so I don't know, algorithms, I guess, and hit the bell, hit the notification bell, so when I do stream live, you know exactly when to hop in and enjoy the stream. But everyone who's come into this stream, whether you're still here or not, thank you so much for taking part. If you're watching this after we've all streamed, then obviously thank you for taking time out of your day to watch anyway. Either way you've watched, thank you. As far as the first live stream goes, I'm happy. And I hope you're happy too. So, Great American Bash, Night 1. Great stuff. I'll see you next week for the watch-along of Night 2. Stay safe, everybody.